Hello again, guys. I'm back again. I'm going to be talking about the late age nation of Jomon. Now, Jomon is a continuation of the early age nation Yomi and the middle age nation Shinuyama. All of these are based off of Japanese mythology from different periods or different aspects of it. The early age Yomi is more about Japanese demons and mystical figures, and the whole nation is dominated by largely some barbarian units, as well as lots of demonic oni units and other kind of mystical creatures. The Shinuyama Middle Age is more about these small goblin-type creatures, the bakemono. And the last age is mostly humans. You can see most of this lineup is humans, but looking at the screen doesn't really tell you that much about the nation because Jomon is much, much more than just what you see here. Looking at this, it may not look very strong, and it's true, this nation is a very difficult and somewhat weak nation depending on the circumstances. It's a very circumstantial nation. However, it has a lot of potential, and it's a really, really fun nation to play. I would say that even though it's frustrating at times to play this nation, it's really rewarding when you can have all your little schemes come together, or you can achieve something you've been working towards and have it really pay off for you, because you can get a big payoff with Jomon compared to other nations where it's a little bit more straightforward to get what you want. You also have a lot of tools available for you, so if you really like to experiment with lots of different strategies, you have so many options as Jomon, and I'll explain a little bit why that is in a minute. First of all, let's look at their just basic lineup. As for their troops, most of your troops are okay. They're all like these samurai units. The real problem is these guys are kind of ill-equipped for the late age. Late age, if you ever play this game, there's 3 ages, and by the late age, a lot of independent provinces will have crossbows. Almost every province will have crossbows, and crossbows are really, really deadly for these kind of units who don't really have that much mobility. All your samurai are pretty slow, at combat speed 8. They have heavy armor, good protection, but crossbows will just pierce right through that armor, and you're never ever going to be able to use these katanas and get up close. So the problem is a lot of these units will just get torn apart by crossbows. You don't really have any of your own ranged units. Your only ranged unit is the samurai archer, and he's okay. He's got a katana, which is good, so it means he can hold a line pretty well if someone attacks your archers. And he's got a longbow, which, you know, in early age this would be great, in middle age this would be good. By late age, a longbow is just kind of like weak now. It's totally outclassed by the crossbow. And a lot of nations have crossbows, as well as many, many independent provinces have crossbows. Especially now in Dominion 6, independent provinces are so beefy that honestly I find expansion with Jomon a little bit harder in Dominion 6 compared to the previous game. In the previous game, you could do a little bit more meme tier builds with this, and I tried a meme tier one that I used to like in Dominions 5, using one of the Kami, the big Titan gods, and it didn't really turn out too well. Maybe I could try again a few other times, but I think I will try a quick show of expansion at the end of this video where I use something a little bit safer just to try it out a little bit. So let's quickly go through the units. You have all these units here. I won't really say too much about them. I mean, all these samurai are just really slow and don't really hit that hard. I don't even know which ones are worth recruiting. I think the samurai archer is the best, honestly. Like, he has a katana, so he can again hold a line. He can actually attack. He also has a longbow. I think these guys are the best out of all these just generic troops. The other guys are just really expensive, and they're just outclassed by a lot of things in this age. So it's hard to really justify getting them. Beyond that, the samurai cavalry is pretty good. This is probably your best bet for expansion if you're not going for much of a unit bless, at least a bless for your recruitable units. These guys are really good. They're cavalry, they're a heavy cavalry. However, the horse doesn't really have too much armor, so he's a little bit flimsy. But still, you know, he has a lance, he can charge, so this guy's quite good. This is a very good cavalry unit, and they can hit really hard as well, even in the late age. However, I find they tend to take losses pretty easily, and again, I think that's just because the horse is pretty poorly equipped. He doesn't have much armor on him. If he was heavily armored, then it'd be amazing, but I think this is just an okay kind of unit. Maybe this guy with the spear is okay. I mean, just because spears are good in general. I don't know. I mean, if you ever need to hold a line, having a line of spears is good, but I wouldn't really worry too much about it. I just like having spear units. Sometimes you have to deal with cavalry or a charge or something, and having a line of spears is just nice. However, you do get some much better spear holding units a little bit later. So out of these generic units, I think the best options to think about are the samurai archer and the samurai cavalry. The other ones, I mean, they're all situational, but I wouldn't really worry too much about them. This generic samurai has a really hard hitting attack, and actually all your samurai hit really hard. They all have really heavy attacks. The problem is you're probably never going to be able to make use of that heavy attack. Like, it's just not going to happen, most likely. Next, you have your two sacred units. Now, you have really interesting sacreds. They're both capital only. The Sohei is your kind of basic sacred. He has this glaive, Naginata, that hits really hard. So he's a very tough unit. But again, he's got the same problem as all your other samurai units, where he's just slow and he gets chewed up by a lot of crossbows and any kind of ranged attacks. So you really have to consider that. I mean, you can do something with these guys if you want to. There are some strategies which focus on your unit blessing these guy units. You have your other unit too, which you can also consider blessing. So there are strategies for these guys, but in general, these are pretty weak, and any strategy focusing on them is kind of memed here. So it's hard to justify a little bit. Your other sacred, the Yamabushi, this guy's funny because he's got a katana, which is good, and he's not too expensive. He costs a lot of resources. This is a common thing with your nation. Everything is very resource intensive, but he's also undisciplined. So this guy's a little bit questionable to make use of. I mean, again, there are some ways you can deal with this undisciplined trait and bunch them up together so they can, do some damage. But I don't know if it's worth the investment. It's just like something you do for fun, not really do to actually win a game. I mean, it is pretty fun. These guys are pretty fun, and using the samurai units is really cool. But it's definitely not Jomon's strongest aspect. Now you have two special units. Now these are underwater only, and one thing I mentioned about Jomon earlier is that it's a very unique nation. It's unique because you have a lot of these underwater only recruits, and you're one of the few nations in the game that is a land nation that can build an underwater fort. And now the problem is with that is you don't really have any water breathing naturally. So you have to somehow get water breathing, get underwater, and then build a fort for getting these four guys here. So you have the shrimp soldier. He's a pretty good unit. He's pretty tough. He's got a glaive, which hits really hard. And he's got void sandy. So for example, if you're up against relay, this guy's pretty good. This is your main underwater unit. He's aquatic only, so I really only use him for expansion underwater. But I mean, he's not bad. He's pretty good. The main thing is void sandy if you're ever fighting a relay, because that's pretty important. Next you have this guy, the Shark Warrior. This is one of your best mid to late game units. And once you get some underwater forts producing, you can get a ton of these guys. These guys are big, they hit hard, they're size 6. And, they're very tough. They're also amphibious, so they're great in the water and the land. And these guys are going to be your very beefy chaff by the mid to late game, just filling out the HP of your armies and, again, hitting really hard. So these guys are really, really excellent. But, again, it takes a long time to actually get to these guys. So that's something to consider. Now let's look at the commanders. You have a lot of different commanders. Not too much I can say about all of them. The first one of note is your ninja. Now this guy's really cool. A lot of people kind of diss the ninja and don't really make use of it, but he's very stealthy. He's an assassin 2, which is really good. Most recruitable assassins are assassin 1. So he can actually kill his target much more often than you would think. He has 2 attacks, his the shuriken and his sword, his ninjato. And he can scale walls. So even in a siege, you can send these guys in to kill the commanders during a siege. So that's really, really nice and really, really useful as well. You can pump out a lot of these guys to help you with expansion. They're pretty cheap. So I like to make quite a few of these guys to help with expansion, just spread them out and continuously pick off commanders until the province is empty, and then you can just take it very easily. So these guys help a lot for expansion. I would get a lot of these guys if I can. Next, you have your generic kind of leaders. Not much to say about them. You have 1 guy without a horse and 3 guys with horses. And the only difference between these guys effectively is how much leadership they have. This guy's 100 leadership, this guy's 75, and this guy is 150. So this guy is who you'd be leading any of your big armies. Again, he's got a little bit better horse, but not much to say about him. I mean, not much different. These guys are just leadership, basically. If you need leadership, the good thing about Jomon is you do have a lot of big leadership commanders. Even your worst generic commander is 75 leadership, which is really good, since a lot of nations have really poor leadership commanders. But, these guys are great for just leading a ton of chaff around, so consider them in general. Next, you have your mages and priests. First, you have your 2 priest units, and these guys are also mages. This guy will be a priest 2 all the time, and about 10% of the time you'll get a magic path, which is pretty good. I wouldn't really recruit these too much. I mean, these guys have a place if you're going for a sacred strategy, a strategy focusing on your sacreds. You can send one of these guys out with a group of your Sohei or whatever sacred you're buffing, and these guys can make nice little expansion parties. The priest 2 can cast some good spells to buff morale and things like that. And if he does get a magic path, you have some unique spells for each of these elemental paths that can help you a lot. Another option is the monk of the fivefold path. This is your second priest. He's a guaranteed mage and a priest. So he is guaranteed one of these paths. And all of these paths have an associated special magic skill, which I'll quickly look at right now. So you could see I have a lot of stuff on screen right now, but let me open up these signs here. So the teaching sign, the fear not sign, the welcome sign, the earth-touching sign, and the meditation sign. So I'll come back and talk about all these other things later, but first let's look at these signs. So first of all, you have the teaching sign. This is probably the best one. This is if he has a nature path. What it lets him do is just buff his paths. So if he has nature 1, he can buff himself up to nature 2. Next one is the fear not sign. This one gives a kind of air shield and a courage effect. So this is pretty good as well. Again, not as good as buffing path buff, but it's nice for some of your sacreds, which are a little bit, not a little bit, but they do have problems dealing with ranged units. So if you get one of your monks or one of the other guys with an air path, you can send these guys out to help support your units and give them this air shield effect to support them a little bit from crossbows and such. The welcome sign is if you have a fire status. Gives them some charm and some commander ability, which is good. Next is the earth-touching sign. This is specifically for undead and demons. So you can use this as like a anti-undead spell to basically do a lot of damage. It's almost like a one-hit kill for most undead, so it's quite good if you're fighting undead, but again, pretty limited in terms of use. And then meditation sign. This one just is helping you remove fatigue, which is nice if you're doing something like communions in the late game. In the early game, it doesn't really have much purpose, but late game, you can kit one of these water guys into a communion, and what it will do is help them remove some fatigue. All right, so those are the 2 priests. Next, you have your more generic units. You have the Shuninja, the Omyoji, and the Master Shuninja. Sorry if I pronounced these wrong. These 2 are the ones who are more important. The Shuninja, just kind of a generic Earth 1 mage, and he has a random for all these paths here. I wouldn't really record these too much. I mean, they're just a worse version of the Master Shuninja, which you can get anywhere, and he's only 2 recruitment points as well. Not anywhere, but only Highland and Mountains, I should say. But still, you can get him quite easily in many places. I mean, he's more expensive, of course, but in terms of the price, I guess if you really want like a cheap mage, you might as well just go for this guy, the Monk of the Fivefold Path, because this guy has the Holy Path as well, which is much more useful than just an extra magic path. And not only that, he can use some of your national gesture spells, which is pretty good. So I'd probably rather go with this guy if I just want a cheap mage. He's a good researcher, and he's really, really cheap. So I'd rather go with this guy or straight to the Master Shuninja, which is just the same as this Shuninja, but better. The Master Ninja has the same Earth path, but also a nature path, and then 2 100% randoms for all these. So he has a really wide spread of paths available. He can get really, really random paths, and this is the main guy you can recruit. By the mid to late game, you should switch to recruiting the Omyoji, which is a little bit better as a mage. But this guy, you should at least get a few of these guys in every fort, mostly for crafting things and to get a good path variety. These are your main crafting units. Get a couple of these guys everywhere, and you should get a nice spread of paths that allow you to do most of the things you want to do, like summon things or craft things or whatever else. The main point of this guy, he is a good battle mage as well. The main point of this guy is just giving you access to all your national spells. And if you saw the last screen I showed, there are a lot of national spells for Jomon. Last one is your Omyoji. This guy's a native Astral 2, and Astral is just one of the best paths in the game. Having Astral 2 is really good. He's also a fortune teller, which is great which means you can kind of dip into misfortune a little bit. If you get these guys in some forts, since this guy is not capital only, you get him everywhere, you should at least get these guys in all your forts, and then he can protect your fort provinces from bad events, which is really, really helpful. It means you can afford to dip into misfortune a bit more without hurting yourself too badly. So I tend to like going misfortune as Jomon. You could go luck too. I mean, they do have some good heroes, but I think I like the points better. I think about this guy, he has this, he summons a ghost raven or this ghost bird every battle. So every battle, these guys, if you have a couple of these guys in an army, they'll summon these ghost birds, which will fly in the back and kind of harass the enemy mages, which is kind of a nice little bonus as well. This guy's 2 randoms as well, the same as the others, 100% chance, 100% chances of all these. So again, this is another guy for getting some diversity, and also your main communion mage. You won't be able to get such big communions as Jomon. Maybe in the late game, once you can start summoning commanders, you can summon a lot of astral commanders available. But you can get some good communions going, and you can get a lot of diversity in your communions because you have such wide access to all these magic paths. So you can do all kinds of crazy things with your communions if you really want to. So that's something to consider in the late game. And again, that's part of what I mentioned about having a lot of strategies as Jomon. You have a lot of things available to you, but it's not really easy to get there. Next, you have the last 2 underwater commanders. The Crab General is nothing special. He's just an underwater leader. He's void sane, he's amphibious, and he can lead underwater units. He's recruitable underwater. And the last one is really the star of this nation. This is the guy you want to get underwater for. And this is like the cream of the crop when it comes to Jomon's everything. This is what makes Jomon work more than anything else, and why Jomon really lives or dies by whether it can get underwater or not. A Jomon that can't get underwater is kind of like fucked for the game. They can't really do much. Now, Ryujin are just so good. They're a shape changer, so they'll actually change into their dragon form. It just looks like the kind of Asian celestial dragon. This is more their caster form. And he always has this dragon pearl with him, which gives him a boost of water magic. It gives him a free water gem, and it gives water breathing as well for himself. Though he can already breathe underwater as well if he wants to. So this is pretty nice as well. He has 3 water, which means he can cast water elementals natively without any boosting, which is great. He can also do a lot of other things like, I think Frozen Heart. Well, Frozen Heart's pretty easy. He can do a lot of other things too. Bone Melter, I believe. Yeah, he can. So he has a 100% chance +2 for any of these, which means it'll be a linked random. So he'll make it +2 nature, +2 earth, +2 air, +2 fire. And all these are great paths. All of them have some use for him. The air can do cloud trapeze. The fire, I guess, can do some acid spells and get some diversity and things like that. Some battlefield spells. The earth can be good as well for buffing, thugging and stuff like that. You can buff this guy with some earth spells to make him a decent thug. Oops. And the nature, you can do things like foul vapors or bone melter and a lot of very funny things like that. So this guy is just a great unit. He's a flying unit. He has amazing map move. He can fly all around the map. He's got good resist for shock and fire and cold and poison. So this guy's a really excellent unit. Again, he's kind of your out-of-the-box foul vapors caster. You can fly him around and just cast foul vapors all over the place. And even better than that, he's recruitable in all underwater forts. You can get quite a lot of these guys if you invest in it, if you get a good foothold underwater. He's expensive, but by late game, this is not a big deal, and you should be able to get a lot of these guys. I made a video for Dominions 5 about Patala, and Patala has the big Naga unit, which has, I think, 9 paths, so a really great unit. And this one doesn't have as many paths as that, 5 paths only, but this is a much better unit because it's not cap only, and it's just so useful for so many things. So this is kind of like the improved version of the, I believe it's the Nagarishi or something like that. Either way, let's move on to some god ideas. The god I tried, kind of a meme bless, is something like this. Now, the reason I went with this, I went with Righteous Wrath, and then I also went with Fate Weaving. So I went something like this. So this is not too bad. I have to dump some scales a little bit, though, to afford this. It's not that easy to afford. I do want to get production as Jomon. Magic is also good, too. I would like to get magic, but I can't really afford it with this, so I won't bother here. I can barely afford anything, so kind of have to leave it like that, which is not very great. I did go with something like this. Righteous Wrath was to boost some of my sacreds, specifically these kind of cheapo sacreds like the Yamabushi or the Sohei, especially the Yamabushi because they're pretty cheap and you can get like a big swarm of them as well, even though they're undisciplined. Righteous Wrath, it's because whenever a unit dies, like a sacred unit dies, all the nearby sacred units get a huge boost to their attack, strength, and morale. It's kind of like the inverse of, Blood Rage. And Fate Weaving is just good in general for protecting the unit. Now, what I wanted to do with this one is use her as a bit of a thug. And she works. She was better in Dominions 5 when Fire gave you Awe, because then I could give her a bigger Awe Bless, which is nice for giving her some protection. But now Awe is locked behind Glamour, so it's a little bit harder to give her Awe effectively. So I don't know if this god is as good of a meme kind of build as it was in Dominions 5. Something a bit more simple and probably more effective is something like this. This is kind of the classic god you can choose, just choosing the Earth Snake. Let's actually take a few points off. Yeah, just choosing the Earth Snake, Hard Skin, and that's it. This is great because it gives you access to Amphibian immediately, so you can immediately go underwater. The Earth Snake is just a great kind of god anyways. He's got amazing protection, high hit points, he's size 10. He's got a fear aura and just a lot of other things. He's got recuperation, so you can kind of throw him into battle and not worry about him too much. Hard Skin is not really much of a bless, but it's pretty good since a lot of units you have, a lot of the summonable sacreds are very flimsy, so at least Hard Skin will give them a little bit of a protection boost, so it's not too bad, It's this, you could definitely do worse. Plus it gives you a lot of points available to do more with this. I would probably try to go magic and production. Oh, I can't really go high production with him because he's sloth. Maybe in this case, I would probably go order just to get a little bit more money, and maybe growth. What can I afford? I think growth is a little bit more worthwhile than order, but I might go neutral order in that case. So it's not too bad. I would like to go more productivity. This guy, because he has this sloth scale limit, it's a little bit annoying because I definitely would like to have that as Jomon. I can maybe afford this. This is not too bad. So this will give me fairly decent income. The growth will give me good income over time. Misfortune is not as big a deal with Jomon as with other nations, and the magic is really helpful for you as well, since some of your units have magic power, and generally you want to make use of your fairly good researchers and summonables later. So something like this could be good. I think this is much better than the kind of meme tier build with the Kame of Sun. Something else you can do is just go for a very scales kind of build. I think I can see what I can afford. Maybe I can afford everything. Now what I would do is maybe take this one dormant or even imprisoned. Actually, I think I might go imprisoned. And just take something really simple like magic weapons and not much else. Like, I don't really need much of a bless. I'm basically going for this for scales. And Jomon really benefits from scales. You can climb a lot of the paths you need just independently. You don't really need a god to help you break into anything. I mean, it might help, but something like this could be fine too. You don't really need much of a bless. I don't know, you can maybe get like an extra thing. What else might be good? You can go heroism for some kind of funny memes here, like 3 heroism, something like that. This could be kind of funny because in Dominion 6 heroism is pretty broken. So something like this could be pretty good. And you have a little bit of points available to go a bit higher Dominion as well, just to see what you can afford. So this is definitely a very scales-focused build. You do benefit a lot from your scales, and you don't really need your god to do much for you. So something like this could be pretty nice as well. Magic weapons is a really useful bless in this case because you don't have easy access to it. And since the late age has, for example, Lemuria, which has a lot of ghost units, definitely this is helpful for you just to counter that in that case. So something like this could be a good option as well. I might have to lower that a bit. So maybe like this could be pretty good. All right, so let's move on here. I'm going to talk about some of the things you should be researching as Jomon and a lot of useful spells. And you can see here, these are all the national spells of Jomon, and they have a lot of national spells, especially a lot of national summons. You can already tell just looking at this that Conjuration is super important for you. I would try to get at least a Conjuration 3 immediately, almost immediately. Probably I would try to get for Construction 1 first if you don't already have it. Just because you can't, in Dominion 6, you can't produce anything with Construction 0. So if you don't already have Construction 1, maybe get that first, just so you can make some very simple items, and then go all the way up to Conjuration 3 to get some of your important spells. For example, Contact Bakeno, which is very useful for you. And lots of other things as well. Either way, let's go through. After that, you can maybe go to Alteration, maybe Alteration 5 or 6. And then from there on, I guess it's up to you. Maybe Thaumaturgy to get Soul Slay, or and definitely you need for Communions as well. And maybe Enchantment for eventually Foul Vapors and things like that. But let's move on here. Let's take a look at some of these things I've highlighted. So a few of these units, most of these are just national summon units. First of all, I want to take a look at these 4 I highlighted in the corner. These are all your kind of very useful utility units. And especially this one here, the Bekeno, is one of your best utility units available. Now, the Bekeno is this little cat creature. It's one of the most stealthy units in the game, plus 80. Specifically, the Bekeno form, the kind of human form, is stealth 100, so really, really stealthy, and has a random path of either death or fire. Fire is not too useful for you, but death is your very easy access to death magic, and you should be recruiting a lot of these guys or summoning quite a few of them. They're very, very cheap to summon, only 8 gems, and Nature 2, which is easy for you to get. Try to get as many of these death guys as possible and send them around to search for death gems. Jomon is a really gem-hungry nation, and you need to be site searching a lot as Jomon all the time to really compensate for that. You have so many look at all these summonables. All of these need different gems. You basically need access to every kind of gem possible to make use of your lineup here. So definitely recruit these Bekeno at Conjuration 3 and try to get the ones with the death ones out to search for death sites. Other than that, I mean, the fire ones are a nice little fire mage, and you can send them around to scout a bit. They're very, very stealthy, so they're almost never going to get caught. Maybe you can do some funny things with them as well, but not too much. Next one I wanted to highlight here are the Contact Mujina. Now, the Mujina is, let me actually show both forms of her. She is an assassin unit. She's a very good assassin. Again, very high stealth. Also magic power, so she'll be more powerful in a magic area. She has fairly decent paths as well. And this is your easy access to glamour magic if you want to break into glamour later for casting some summons like Summon Fairy Queen and so on. Now, the Mujina is your assassin unit. She's a very excellent assassin, pretty cheap, just a few nature gems to summon, about 20 nature gems. And again, very, very stealthy as well. You can sneak around with this kind of, I'm not sure what kind of animal this is. No parabo, I don't really know. I don't know too much. The raccoon dog maybe, but she's a very excellent assassin, and this is a good option into the late game for assassinations because she has some magic paths available. She's a Theor aura, and she's very, very stealthy as well, plus magic power too. So this is kind of the mid to late game replacement for your ninjas in general. Though ninjas are always useful just because they're so cheap, and you can get tons and tons of them to just spam out. Next is the Tanuki. This is your heretic unit. The main use for this guy is he causes unrest. He's very, very stealthy. He's a good scout as well. He's about 80 stealth, and he can increase unrest in enemy provinces. So the main use for him would be to send him out and cause some problems for your enemy provinces. Now, he's a little bit expensive to base a strategy around this, but the fact that you have this kind of heretic unit and you can send them out there to disrupt your opponents, just sneak around in general and cause a lot of the unrest and lower the dominion. So this could have some use as well. Again, it's really up to you what your strategy is, but this is an option you have available. All these 4 options I highlighted are kind of like your tech units that have different uses depending really what you want to achieve. And they're all very stealthy. You have a lot of stealthy units as Jomon. Last one is the Kitsune. This is your spy unit. Now, not many nations have a spy available, and she's very stealthy. And what spies do in Dominions is they give you more information about whatever province. So these are pretty nice to have as well. You can send these out to get some important details about maybe an enemy fort or an enemy army or whatever's going on like that. She also has pretty high glamour magic, so this is again a good way to boost higher into glamour. And she has a lot of paths available. A lot of these have access to astral as well, which means you can kit a lot of these into your communions if you really want to. Now, another one I highlighted as well, let's move on here, is this one, Ghost General. So this you need 3 death to acquire. And he doesn't have any magic paths himself, but if you can get up to 3 death somehow, Usually you'd probably have to go to summoning Onis or maybe climb death some other way. I'll go through some different ways you can climb death a little bit easier. But the Ghost General is really good. He's basically like a Bane Lord, but even better because he's ethereal and he had just much better units as well. Much better things as well. Plus he's a little bit cheaper than the Bane Lord and pretty easy as like a light thug. If you can get your death income fairly high, and generally as Jomon, you'd want to boost your death throughout the game. So by late game, you have a lot of death magic. You should be getting these guys out eventually. A few other things I highlighted. We have a lot more national summons. I have a lot of things I highlighted here, so I'll try to go through them very quickly. Here are some other units I highlighted. These are just generic units that I wanted to highlight specifically for climbing paths. For example, here, Streams from Hades is pretty easy for you to cast. It does require 1 death, but if you can get into death magic a little bit, this could be very helpful. This can break you up into death 3, which opens up a lot of your death summons a little bit later. For example, the Oni General is very useful. He's a death 2. You can get him with death and fire. So Streams from Hades is really good if you just need a death 1 and a water 4, which is not too hard for you to get with some boosting. Contact Naiad, you have some other options instead of this one. For example, the Nushi is very similar to Contact Naiad and actually a little bit cheaper. The Nushi has also death magic. She has 1 death. So this is another way to cast these Streams from Hades if you want to do that. The Naiad has a little bit different path spread from the Nushi. They're almost the same. The Nushi has 1 death, 2 nature. The Naiad has 3 nature, 3 water. So almost the same, very, very similar as well. The main point, and they're also both homesick, so you can't really move them from their home province. The main thing is if you want nature 3 or, I guess, 1 death. So otherwise, there's not too much of a difference between these two. Let's look at a few other ones. I also highlighted Lamia Queen. This one's a lot harder for you to cast because you have to get nature 5 and death 2. So this is a little bit difficult. You do get death 2 off the bat, plus it gives you access to blood magic if you really want to get into that. So this is an option as well. One more thing I'll highlight is, let me get another one. There's also the Forest Troll. Let me get that one. Forest Troll Tribe. This is the guy. So another option for breaking into death is this spell, Forest Troll Tribe. Nature 3 is really easy for you to get, and it gets you the Troll Shaman, and he has a fairly decent chance, 25% chance of having death 2. He's guaranteed death 1, but he has a 25% chance of getting death 2. I know it's a lot of gems to get this guy, so I don't know if it's worth rolling the dice that many times just for a death 2, but you know, it's another option to get you higher into death. And death is really useful for you as Jomon. Sea King's Court is more of a water option. He just gives you water 3, which is, I mean, you already have a lot of units that can do water 3, but because you can summon this outside of the water, you can summon this on land too. This could be a good way to break into the water later in the game if you really want to, and push in the water before you have any of your Ryujin built. So if you want like a big water mage before you get your water fort kind of infrastructure built, this guy could be a good option as well. What else is there? Let's take a look at some other ones. Now, I mentioned your death summons. Let's quickly look at those. Most of them are not that useful, except for these two. The Dai-Oni returns from Yomi in the early age, and he's really excellent as well. He's just as good as he was in early age. He's a great super combatant. He has a lot of, he has a really good path spread, 3 death, 2 earth, and 2 fire, so we can use a lot of things like Phoenix Pyre or Soul Vortex or a lot of the earth buffs and stuff. He's a demon, and most people know how to counter him, but he's really good, just the same as he was in the early age. So this is a good option as well, but you need pretty high paths to get him. Much easier is the Oni General, the Oni Shugo, and he's like kind of a mini version of the Dai-Oni. He's a little bit smaller. He has similar paths as well, just randoms, but he's also good. And both these guys are Oni summoners. So instead of using the summon Oni spells, I'd rather just recruit one of these guys and have them summon a bunch of Onis as well. A few other things. Another one I want to highlight are your Tengu summons. Now, these are another big highlight of Jomon because they're all sacred flying units. They do require kind of weird paths to summon, but again, your Shunenjas should be able to get these mixtures pretty easily, and they can be pretty expensive, especially the Contact Dai Tengu is very expensive, but the Dai Tengu is a really great unit and breaks you into higher air as well. The Tengus, like the cheapest one, the Karasu Tengus, these guys are pretty weak. They only got a limited armor, their protection is really low. Their hit points is really low. They're generally pretty weak in general, but they're flying and they're sacred and have this lightning strike range attack. So if you want to do something with sacred flying units, these guys are really, really cheap. Only 2 nature gems. Really, really easy to cast. These guys can play a big role in whatever strategy you're doing. One thing I like about hard skin with the Earth Snake is it really helps these guys a lot. All your Tengus are really flimsy, so having hard skin on your Tengus will make them a little bit more beefy, and they'll be able to stand up to some punishment a little bit better. So this is a great option to consider, and I really like using Tengus a lot just because flying units are so great. The other one right here, these are just a little bit better version of the first level Tengu. They got better stats and things like that. And some other things here. Let's move on from that one. Last one is the Dai Tengu. You get a group of the Tengus here. You get the Tengu Warriors, which are more armored Tengus. And then you have the ones I showed you before, the lighter armored ones. And this guy who's a big air mage. Okay, there's quite a few other things. Let's go through a few others. Now, there's a lot of other summons. You can see there's so many different summons to go through, and they all have some use for you, maybe variable different uses. 2 more summons I wanted to highlight, 2 more commander summons are the Kaijin. Now, this is underwater only. Not much to say about him, to be honest, unless you really want like an extra Water 3 mage. I don't know if you'd really need him too much. I mean, he could be useful just because he's sacred and he's Water 3. If you want some extra Water 3 support and you can't afford enough Ryujin, but you have a lot of water gems available. I mean, it's pretty situational, but you know, it has a purpose in some way. The Ujami, this is a commander here. He's just Holy 2. He's Fortune Teller and he's a good leader. There's not much else to say about him. I mean, if you don't have the Ghost General, this is another good option for thugging. Since he's holy, he's sacred, he can benefit from your bless. You can give him some armor and stuff like that, and maybe a few troops to surround him with, and he could be a pretty good sacred army leader and light thug as well. But not much else to say about him. Now, last 2 summons I want to talk about are Summon Okami. These are unit summons, the only unit summons I'm going to talk about. Summon Okami is really cool. It's very cheap. You get it at Conjuration 3, and you get 10 Okami, which are these sacred dogs. Sorry, not sacred, but they're very good dog units. They're stealthy, and they have a bodyguard too. So what I like to do with these guys, and what many other people like to do, is pair them up with some of your mages. Since all your mages are basically flimsy old men, pair a bunch of Okami with them, and they will help prevent them getting picked off or assassinated. So this is the main use for Okami, and you should be summoning some of these just to get some good bodyguard units. And they're also pretty fast as well, so they can act as a kind of cavalry if you want, and they have magic power. So if you're playing with high magic scales, they get a big benefit from that. Last one is the Gozumezu. These guys are very niche, and they require Death 3. But if you do get Death 3, they can fill a role of kind of an anti-thug. They have this special weapon called the Soul Catcher, which is this trap soul effect. Now, it's not the exact same as Soul Slay, but it's quite good for a single target attack. So summoning these guys and putting them into an army here, like I said, these guys are both units. So you can get a couple of these guys and use them as kind of like an anti-thug SWAT team if you really want to. Last thing, I have a few generic spells that I thought are kind of useful. I mentioned Foul Vapors and Bone Melter. Foul Vapor is just a battlefield-wide poison effect. Really, really easy for you to get into this, and something you should be looking towards at Enchantment 6 a little bit later. Alteration 5 is something you should be getting anyways, and that gives you Bone Melter, which is kind of a single target insta-kill effect. It kind of just instantly kills one target, kind of like the nature water version of Soul Slay. Frozen Heart is another instant attack. It's at Alteration 6, but all your Water 1s can cast it, so any mage with Water 1 can cast Frozen Heart and, pick off a lot of guys very easily. Magma Eruption and Magma Bolts are also pretty easy for you to cast, and really good spells for just a battlefield evocation, but evocation is kind of low priority for you as Jomon anyways. Last one, let me look at some of these things you should be crafting. Now, getting up to crafting 3 is pretty important. This will give you access to some things for going underwater, so Shambler Skin Armor, or alternatively the Ring of Water Breathing. You can also start getting Owl Quills. Now, air gems are not that easy to find, but if you really, really want to spend them on some research boosting, you can build these at level 3 construction. So this can help boost your research. Dwarven Hammers will help you with saving gems, so definitely if you can build these first, it might make Owl Quills a little bit more economical. At level 5, you can get the Coin of Meteoric Iron, which can help boost your Astral for some of your Astral Mages, and you can really make this pretty easily. You also have the Manual of Water Breathing, which you can also get pretty easily. This will help you lead a group of units underwater, so you can take some of your land units underwater and attack if you haven't expanded underwater yet. There's also the Pills of Water Breathing, which is similar to this but for air, and it basically does the same thing. You can lead a group of units underwater. The last two, a little bit higher level at level 7 construction, Lightless Lantern, Starshine Skullcap. This one just gives you another boost to your Astral to get a bigger Astral Mage if you really want to. It's definitely worth considering later in the game. And Lightless Lantern, again, just another research boost. So if you want to be boosting your research into the late game, you should start switching from Owl Quills, which you shouldn't be making too many of, to Lightless Lanterns, which you should be mass producing if you can. So by late game, just mass produce these and you'll get a huge, huge research boost very, very quickly. Like you'll see how crazy your research goes. All right, that's enough about this. And you can see there's so many different things I didn't even talk about. There's tons of summons for this nation. Jomon is really defined by its summons. But let's go back to the game here. All right, now I'm going to show a quick game. I'm just going to do a little bit of the expansion. Now, as I said, I'm going to go for something a little bit safer. There's a lot of good options you can go with. Some of the ones I mentioned, like the Kami of the Sun or the Oracle, if you want something more scales focused. Actually, you know what? Maybe it would be worth to go for something like that. I was thinking still I will go for the Earth Serpent. This is kind of the safest bless and pretty easy to get away with. Like something like this is just really good. And you can still get decent scales with this as well. Do that if I can. I'd probably go low Dominion. Since I have Misfortune, I don't really want to go high Dominion. So maybe even like Dominion 3, just to afford a little bit better scale. So these scales are pretty good. They're not ideal in terms of I'd rather have more productivity. But you know, these scales are pretty decent for Jomon. You don't really need a huge Dominion because you have access to decent priests and you can easily preach up your Dominion if you really want to. In general, though, I like having the magic power, the growth, and these two will help my income as well. So I'm going to go with something like this. Just awake. Let's just start here. We'll try out a short expansion. Right, here we are. So let's try. First of all, I'm not going to expand first round. I'm going to send out one of my ninjas to go investigate these areas. For the first turn, what I think I will do is actually recruit a couple more ninjas. And these guys can go out. I'm also going to recruit some more of these guys. Oh, I can't really recruit that many. Maybe I should get a mage instead. It doesn't make much of a difference. I think I'll go with the ninjas. These guys will be more helpful for expansion for the time being. And I'll get a couple of these. We'll get more of them by next turn. I still have quite a lot of income left. Can I recruit any of these? Okay, let's see if I can get these guys. I'm just going to put all the rest of my gold into these, and hopefully I'll be able to get these units. Now this guy, we'll give him a little bit of a script, but there's not much else for him to do. Like, temper armors. Yeah, I mean, nothing really he can do. I'm not even going to bother getting him to do anything. Just he can attack closest enemy. Yeah, not much else for him to do. He doesn't need to worry about it. He's a big meat stick, so, you know, he doesn't have to worry about too much. Either way, let's end the turn here. All right, good. Misfortune magic, okay. And I got the Fire Strikers. That's good. So let's try to expand a little bit. So now I'm pretty lucky I got this group of mercenaries, so this will help me a little bit in expansion. Jomon tends to have a really hard time with expansion, so getting mercenaries will really help that out. Also, try your best to look at the provinces and see what's there. If you see, for example, crossbowmen, be very, very careful invading that, because crossbowmen are your enemy as Jomon. I think I'm going to send my god here, because I know what's here based on my scout. I'm also going to attack the commander, just to make it a bit safer for him. I'm going to send these guys out. Maybe send this group to crossbowmen. See, there's crossbowmen here. So maybe send these guys there. I'm going to send these guys out elsewhere. These guys can start assassinating. And this guy, he can... I think I'll let him wait for now. Now, I might have him do something else in the meantime. But I think for now, I'm just going to have him wait. Let's set him up. Oh, this starting army is pretty flimsy. But we can maybe try to attack one of these very light provinces. These are all pretty beefy. Maybe this one he can take, so maybe we'll try there. just to see. If I can get 3 provinces in my first turn, that'll be really nice, but it's a little bit risky. Let's try it anyways. Okay, let's see. Okay, assassinate the commander. These ninja assassins are pretty good. Let's take a look at the assassination battle. So just in his house, he's sleeping. Chuck his shuriken. Alright. Not much to see there. There's a battle here. Oh. So it looks like the Far Strikers failed. Oh, okay, I took this province, but I had a lot of losses. Wow. So, big loss here, but at least I took the province. I lost all my Ashigarus, the spearmen. Only the archers and 1 cavalry survived. The archers are pretty good. These spearmen just die very easily, so it's not much to really say about them. Yeah, all of them die. And the horse run away. Lucky these samurai archers are so, like, beefy, so they can hold up. And are they actually smaller than the normal human units? So this guy's size 3. What size is this guy? He's size 3 too? He looks smaller, doesn't he? It's weird. Is it because he's Japanese? Okay, there they go. Nice. And last one, Earth Serpent took that out pretty well. Ooh, this is a bigger army than I would have thought. But Earth Serpent could take it. He's just a big meat stick. He can just squish them all and kill them. And they can't do shit to him. Like, his protection is so high, they can't really do anything. They just run away. His Fear Aura helps a lot, too, helping him avoid getting hit. And he also has Affliction Resistance, so it's very unlikely that he's going to get afflicted. Even if he does, he has Recuperation. So this guy's really great at just throwing at whatever province and taking it. So you don't have to be too careful with him. Yeah, not much. He wins. Which helps a lot, because you can see I had 1 failure, 1 basically army wipe. I still took the province, but my army got wiped. And at least this one, I was able to beat it, so that's very good. Now, where should I send him next? I need to be careful. I'm going to send him over here. Even though it's 80 units, it doesn't look like there's any crossbows. Crossbows can punch through your protection, so I need to be careful with that. So I think I'm going to send him up here. And I have an assassin there ready, so I can assassinate the commander. And I'm going to move this guy out somewhere else. Let's send some more assassins out as well. This guy to assassinate commander, and we'll send this guy over here also to assassinate commander. And let's recruit something different than just ninjas. Let's get some more cavalry. And maybe a Master Shininja, if I can afford it. Yeah, I can afford it. So let's get that for now. We'll get a few of these Shininja guys out. Let's end the turn here. Okay, assassination went well. Another assassination went well. These ninjas are such good assassins. And Earth Serpent did really well. Just kill everybody, basically. Yeah, no problems with him. Easy. Oh. Okay, so not too bad expansion yet. Let's just go around until I can get my cap circle area. I may be able to have a very fast expansion even though it's year 1. Where do you go? Impassable Mountains? Let's send him somewhere else. Now, ooh, this is a little bit risky. How many troops are there? 60? This is 60. This is 140. I'm going to take a risk, and I'm going to send them over here, even though it's not part of my dominion. Send these guys out. These guys can keep assassinating. And I'm going to send this guy out again in a minute. He should have some more units. These horsemen can attack rear. And that should be enough to deal with this, I think. I think that'll be okay. So let's send this guy in here as well. One of these, ooh, these are both pretty heavy. Ooh, I don't know which one I could take. These are both pretty difficult provinces. Let's try this one. Let's try this one. He's going to assassinate the commander. Both of them have crossbowmen. Okay, this one seems to have light infantry, heavy infantry, crossbowmen. Light infantry, crossbowmen, heavy infantry. Okay, this one seems to have less crossbowmen because crossbowmen's listed at the end. So maybe I'll send him here. And this guy's going to assassinate too. This guy can assassinate as well. Actually, you know what? I'm going to send him to this throne. Oh no, I can't. So let's assassinate here too. And otherwise, production can be the same. Like, just keep making Shininja and keep making the Samurai Cavalry. Let's make a little bit more of them, though. And can I recruit any kind of... Oh, I don't have anything. I can get these swordsmen. Let's maybe try to recruit one of these guys. I'm going to recruit right here and try to expand in the south. Since I have a pretty good surplus of money, I'm going to put a big... yeah, I think that'll be good. About 450. The AI always loves to overbid. So I'm going to put a big bid and try to get as many of these guys as possible. To get as many of the mercenaries. Since I have quite a lot of money spare, and I'm making good income even though it's very early in the game. So I'm going to keep trying to get as many of these guys and make up for my pretty shitty starting army. A few battles. Assassination went well. Another assassination went well. Another assassination also went well. Battle here. Ooh, lost. Oh, that sucks. Shame, shame. And what about this one? Yeah, the Earth Serpent did well. So Earth Serpent has no problems. This one is a shame. Look at that. Just too big of an army. This army's too small. And these guys are just not strong enough to deal with this. Like, look at that. That's huge. They can't deal with that. Like, the Samurai Cavalry are good, but they're not, like, that good. They're not going to win any games for you, you know? They're just, like, okay because they're cavalry and they have a charge attack. Let's edge out here. Pretty shameful. Did I at least get the... Oh, I didn't even get the bid, so that sucks. Geez, see, the AI always overbids by a lot. Like, they really overbid. I bid 400. They must have bid, like, a lot more than that for that. Okay, let's see if I can do anything. Let's try to do a big bid here. Get some of these guys here. Okay, let's keep assassinating in these areas to deal with these provinces. Basically, my only successful expander is this guy. Uh-oh, we have a relay here. That's going to be a problem later. Let's attack here. We'll get this guy to assassinate. This guy to assassinate too. This guy assassinate as well. And I guess just keep recruiting horsemen. There's not much else you can really do. Like, get a bunch of these guys. Maybe I'll spend a couple turns to get some archers as well, because the samurai archers are also not too bad. But you can see how difficult it is to expand. Like, I really appreciate having the expander god, just for this reason only. Okay, let's see some battles here. Jerb. What is that? Okay, just a random battle. Alright, my Earth Serpent did really well, killed everybody. Battle in the ocean. Looks like Relay's having trouble. Okay, and a lot of assassinations. Again, went really well. Oh, this one he died. The commoners defended him. Geez, lots of assassinations. Assassins should play a big role in how you expand around. Let's send this guy over here, and we'll send him... I don't know. I'm going to send him here as well to attack. Let's keep assassinating here. And assassinating... Oh, I lost that guy. I'm going to make another commander, and we'll try to send a bigger force of these horsemen out. What I might do is also get some of these archers, too. Just to support just one recruitment level of archers. And we'll get a ninja as well. So that's good. Oh, geez, I forgot to set my research priority. Oh, that's a shame for me. So I already have construction 2. Geez, I totally forgot about that. My priority first should be alteration 5, then conjuration... Sorry, I should go conjuration 3 first, then alteration 5, and then maybe enchantment or thaumaturgy. I think thaumaturgy 2 will be useful, because then I get mind burn and some useful thaumaturgy spells. I can eventually go up to 5 for soul slay and some other kind of things here. But most of the thing I want is conjuration. I should go back to conjuration later to get a lot of my national summons here. And construction 2 if I want to go a little bit higher construction. And of course enchantment. Eventually I want to get up to enchantment 6 for foul vapors. But this is pretty good as well. I should have set this pretty early because at least I was researching conjuration, which is what I need anyways. If you forget to set a priority, it'll just research conjuration or whatever is number 1, which is always conjuration. So it kind of worked out anyways because I need conjuration first. But yeah, you should pay attention what you're doing. Okay, let's extend here. Oh, let's see if I can recruit anything first. So I missed the recruitment again. That sucks. I can't recruit anything right now. You really have to bid a lot. The AI knows what you're bidding, so you got to bid as much as possible. Oh, who's this? Let's see that. Okay, this guy didn't find any, so maybe he can actually attack the province and take it. And who else said they didn't find any? No one else, right? Okay, he had a battle here and beat everybody. Yeah, that's good. This guy should be assassinated as well. This guy will attack. This guy can assassinate as well. Let's get another ninja out here to start assassinating. Now, where can I go with this guy? Let's. This guy's going to attack. I wonder if I can take this province with just my ninja. Maybe I'll send my god somewhere else in the meantime. I think I'll send him back to my capital, and then he can go to the south to expand a little bit into my dominion area. Now, let's get this guy going out as well. These guys just attack rear. And these guys into skirmish, and they can just fire closest. So pretty good. Let's just do that. And we'll send these guys in. I wonder if I should send him to the south as well. Maybe, maybe not. I'm going to send him actually over here for the moment. Let's just see how that goes. I really want to see if this ninja can take the province by himself. It looks like there's no more commanders here, so he might be able to do it. But let's just see here. This will be kind of a funny moment. I'm also going to see if I can recruit anything. No, I can't. Oh, this assassination went well. This assassination went well. Oh, no, he died. There's a battle. Oh, yeah, look at that. So this ninja, one ninja took over the province, and this is why assassination expansion can work. It's a little bit slow, but look at this. One guy, everybody runs away because there's no commanders. No commanders, no one to tell these guys what to do, tell them to kill that one ninja. So they all just run away. 100 guys just run off from, where'd he even go? I don't even know where he went. Oh, there he is. So, chasing them off. Yeah, you better run. So that's pretty funny. Okay, so pretty good. One more province, and then I'll have my cap circle done. So I think I'm not going to really waste much time. I'm just going to send him in there. Send this guy to the south here. Assassinate commander again. And, yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, I accidentally recruited this guy again. Let's get... another one of these. I'm going to try to bid a lot for this because people keep outbidding me. Let's go for 600 maybe. That's pretty obscene. That's pretty obscene. I don't know who's going to be doing it. Let's get also the horsemen. Why not? You know? Like, that's a lot of money. I'm wasting a ton of money on this. The AI is going to be insane if they want to deal with that. Okay, let me change my priority here. I do not want to be recording these. I want to get this guy. Let's get more horsemen for now. All right, let's see the next turn, how that goes. Oh, this guy did really well. Let's move him out of here. Remember to pump up your province defense. I've not been doing that. And what I should be looking at now, since it's autumn in year 1, I should be looking for a good place for a fort. So one of these provinces, maybe up here could be good. Cedarwood Forest, this looks pretty good. Good resources, good income, good population. Main thing I want is resources, especially a hill area, some more with hills, because I have a lot of summons that are in hills only. So maybe one of these hilly provinces could be good. I don't know where. Actually, this would be good, Bandit Hills. Maybe I should go for that later. That would be a good place for a throne, or sorry, for a fort. These ones are a little bit too close to my capital. I don't really want to build anything there. I don't know, maybe here would be good, but I'd like to get a hill or a mountain kind of area if possible. So maybe somewhere else. Either let's end the turn here. We'll see how this last one goes. See if I can claim my cap circle, and then I think I'll end the video here. All right. Assassinate here again. Failed the assassination. Oh, they ran away. So there's no one left in this province. All the commanders are gone. So everybody just ran away. And the Earth Serpent again just crushed everybody. So that's great. And I got some mercenaries as well. So these guys can go somewhere. And this guy can make his way over. So what can I do next? I guess I should try to make my way into the water. So far, I've not been pushing in the water much. I think what I would do probably is push this way and maybe push into the sea over here. If I can get a water fort up, I would like to do that as soon as possible. So maybe somewhere over here if I can, or wherever. I like to stay away from Relay if I can. So maybe over here would be good. I don't think there's any other underwater nations. So I probably try to push with this guy in there. I try to take this throne province and maybe build a fort here as well, or maybe a fort here in Cedarwood Forest. I can actually do that now, just why not? So it's worth building a fort here anyways, even though I'd like to get a hill somewhere. Another thing I can do is some of my mages I can actually build just with any in any province with hills, as long as it has a... I think this guy can build in any province as long as it has a temple. Sorry, a lab. So I might go build labs in these provinces as well. Then I can start recruiting from these ones, even without any infrastructure. And since labs don't get destroyed when they get conquered, you can leave it there pretty safely. So that's a few things I can do going forward. Again, I want to get Conjuration 3 so I can start summoning the Bakeneko. I can start summoning these guys, which are my Death 1 guys, and start looking for Death Gems. I really should send some of these guys out. Maybe someone like this guy with pretty wide paths. I should send him out to go site search, and maybe a few other guys to get site search like this guy. Any of these guys, the Master Shuninjas you get with a decent path spread, you should send them out to look for gems, because you really got to start getting that gem income coming as soon as possible. And yeah, not much else. Just keep expanding. Really push for an underwater fort as soon as possible. Like, take an underwater province. Really, any province is half decent, and build a fort there. Like, you just want a foothold underwater as soon as you can, especially if there's underwater nations. For example, Relay in this case, or other nations that can easily go underwater, like Atlantis or any others. So you want to get there quickly because you are not a strong underwater power. You don't have much underwater ability to push underwater. You don't even have native water gems. You don't naturally create water gems. So you need to get there before anyone else does, because it's going to be very hard for you to get in later. Other options too, if you have little like lakes like this, like for example, here's a little lake. This could be another option to get an underwater province. I might even go conquer this one and take it because it's a little bit safer than the ocean itself. And it still counts as underwater, so you can build a fort here and benefit from that. Either way, guys, I'm going to end the video here. Not much else for me to really say. I'll see you guys again next time. So goodbye, guys.